Welcome to the Poisoner's Cabinet. I'm Sinead.
And I'm Nick.
And this is your weekly podcast exploring the lives of the great poisoners, macabre murders, and captivating crimes from across the centuries, and creating curious cocktails inspired by the tales that we tell. And it's episode 236.
Hurrah!
Hey!
Hey!
And we're back.
We
We're
are.
back, people.
Hello.
Yes, if you're listening in real time, we did have a week's grace because Nick was not well.
I was poorly.
You were not well at all. And thank you to everyone who was so kind and so patient and sent lovely messages.
wishes. Thank you very much.
Yes, really, really sweet stuff. We released a Patreon episode. We did an extra bonus episode over on Patreon as well, which was a chat which was intended to be maybe a substitute for the main episode with Emma from Real Life Ghost Stories. About 5 minutes into it, it was like, oh, there's no way that we can release this to the public.
Yeah, no, I happily wasn't involved in that one.
You were too sick.
Yes,
to
I
do
was
anything.
lying on my deathbed.
Yes.
At that point.
But everyone has been really, really sweet and very supportive. And you guys are the best. We do have the best fans.
Love you.
How are you, Nick, now?
I'm much recovered, thank you.
Much recovered?
Much recovered.
Full of beans.
Full of beans and Negroni.
And Negroni.
That always helps.
Yeah. Oh, we actually established off air, you don't like beans.
This is true, yes.
You don't like baked beans.
I don't like baked beans. Don't mind an alternative bean.
This we did not get into.
We did not discuss alternative beans.
But a baked bean.
But
No.
I'm not a fan of a baked bean.
No, there was a lot of toast debate this week on After Dark, which are the extra episodes that you get as Cyanide Connoisseurs on Patreon, where we ramble before we actually do this episode to warm us up. It got weird.
It always does.
Yeah, it always does.
That's half the fun.
But you don't like a bean.
No, not really.
No, we're still finding out things about you,
I know.
Nick.
After all this time. Who would have thought it?
Any poisonings this week?
Beans.
Beans?
Beans.
Have you been poisoning the beans?
I've always poisoning beans.
Oh, so people don't have the beans.
No beans for anyone.
Not a bean between them.
No beans allowed.
Well, speaking of counting your beans and being worried about it, I think it is time for us to thank our delicious Patreon subscribers.
Yes, indeed, they love beans.
Beans, the musical fruit.
So thank you very much this week to Wilf,
To Nicola McGow.
to Brigitte Van Vinkbooms.
Oh,
Hello. Love you.
it's sexy wife, sister, cousin, some relative of Cornelius. To Scott Taylor.
To Lisa Davey.
To Miss Nancy Lou.
To CT had a lovely childhood with no crimes that you know of.
To Lucy Sharkey.
To Heather Hawksford.
Ooh. To That Leader.
And to Megan Harding. Thank you, darling.
You sexy Patreon subscribers.
You sexy bean people, you.
Oh, lovely bean people over on Patreon. Thank you so much. We had fun on Patreon this
Yes,
week.
we did.
We had a story from Mr. Nick.
It was sausagey.
The Sausage King.
The Sausage King.
The Sausage King. You came bounding back from your illness with sausages.
With sausages.
In an inimitable Nick way.
Excellent.
Really good story, that
was
one.
grand.
I like the Sausage King story. It was pretty gruesome as well. If you want to know what the hell we're talking about, please do consider joining us on patreon.com/The Poisoner's Cabinet. This is our subscription channel where you can support the show and you get bags of bonus content. Not only do you get an extra episode from us every single week, you also get the main episodes ad-free. There's lots of bonus chat. There's bonus posts. There's bonus conversations with guests. There's videos. There's a book club. There's just everything on there.
God,
Well,
yes.
Nick, are you ready?
Oh, probably not.
To drink cocktails and talk about poison.
Maybe.
Or we could drink poison and talk about cocktails.
Also, maybe that.
Two options.
Two options.
It's been a full 2 weeks since we've had a delicious
This
cocktail.
is true. And not a drop has passed my lips.
Not a drop of the liquor has passed your
No.
lips, as far as everyone else knows.
As far as lies say.
Lies do speak volumes.
Yes.
Yes. Shall we go with the first one?
Let's do that.
Hooray, hooray, hooray. It is my story this week, and we can't possibly have a story without a cocktail in hand. As you know, dear listeners, every week we choose a secret ingredient that is inspired by the tale that we tell, and it will flavour our cocktail of the week. Nick, this week's secret ingredient is, and I will struggle,
Go for it.
an apothecary.
An apothecary.
Apothecary?
Apothecary.
Apothecary?
Apothecary.
I have great trouble with that word, as was pointed out to me on TikTok. When people nicely were going, is she saying
Are you
apothecary?
sure? Is she having a stroke?
Yeah, is she saying that? And loads of people came to my fence going, no, she's not. She's not. It's just her accent. I'm like, no, I was definitely saying it wrong.
What would you be trying to say instead?
I don't know. I just was not
What
saying it
sounds
right.
like apothecary in an Irish accent?
It's just to somebody you're blind to,
Yeah.
completely blind. I'm going, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying apothecary. Apothecary.
Yes, I just can't imagine what else you would be saying instead.
People ran to my defence and I let them.
Well, good for them. Good for them.
Bless their hearts. Now, lots of possibilities.
Really?
Well, with our favourite type of druggist, apothecary has got lots of herbs and lots of spices, medicines, tinctures, remedies to cure you or to ail you.
All those things.
Yes.
Yes.
So with that,
With the apothecary
in mind,
yes,
what have you come up with?
we are having Edison's medicine.
Edison's medicine.
Who Edison is, I don't know, but I imagine he was an apothecary.
I think we all know who Edison was.
This is a different Edison.
Oh, is it a different Edison? Right, is it spelled... did you only just put that together? Is Edison spelled Edison?
Yes.
Right, so it's Thomas Edison.
No, different Edison. He wasn't an apothecary.
But he had some medicine every now and then.
So did other people called Edison. It's not the only one in the world.
Why are you so anti it being Thomas Edison's thing? I mean, I know he was a dick.
The man who invented electricity.
I invented it. I invented everything. This mine now. Okay, well, whoever this Edison man is.
He's an apothecary.
He's an apothecary.
He's an apothecary.
You've decided.
Yes, I have.
Have you made up a whole narrative?
Absolutely.
Right, okay, good. Okay, well, Edison's medicine.
Edison's medicine.
I'm intrigued. I'm curious to see what the apothecary has provided.
Okay.
Wonderful. Well, I think it is high time for us to slink into the Poisonous Cabinet kitchen and shake up a storm, so we'll see you in a minute.
We'll see you in a bit.
And we're back.
Hello.
Well, Nick, we have Edison's medicine.
Edison
medicine. He invented it. He did invent this cocktail, apparently. Yeah. He invented everything. So it is greenly resplendent. Resplendent. And it has a leaf floating. Is that a basil leaf?
It's basil.
It's a bit of basil. Basil-y basil. I love a bit of basil. I think I say this every time you put basil in anything. Then we have a long discussion about pesto. And then I get sidetracked.
Yes.
Let's face it. Okay, so greenly, nice. Well, that's kind of fitting for an apothecary cocktail.
Well,
And Edison's medicine. So, oh, God.
it's green.
It's green. It's going to be herbs and shit in this, isn't it? Oh, God. All right, well, take a little smell.
Have a smell.
It doesn't smell offensive yet.
Medicine-y.
Medicine-y.
Okay.
Well,
Shall
I think
we?
we should dive in.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Ooh.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that is citrusy. I like it.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes, I like it. I'm waiting.
Mm.
I'm waiting for the insult. Taste of green.
Taste of green.
There's a lot of citrus in that, which is masking stuff. And I like it. That's good. Okay, lime.
There is lime.
I did see you buy 16 limes
Yes,
earlier
I
today.
bought all the limes.
So, and is there basil in it?
There may be some basil.
So is the basil smushed?
The basil is also smooshed in the cocktail, yes.
Smooshed in the cocktail with the...
Limes.
With the limes. That's nice. What's the liquor? Gin?
Nope.
Vodka?
Nope.
Rum?
Nope.
Tequila?
Nope.
What? Whiskey?
Nope.
What? What?
You can say what as much as you like. It's still not...
Cachaça?
Cachaça. It is cachaça.
Oh, is it? Oh, good. I was guessing. I'd run out of ideas there. I was like, what's clear and not green? Is there twiggy shit in this?
Some twiggy shit.
Oh, fucking hell. Why? Herbally? Twiggy? Is it twiggy?
Well, we are at the apothecaries.
Have you put chartreuse in this?
Maybe some chartreuse.
Oh, God. I knew it was in there, but I really am struggling to taste it.
It's delightfully yellow chartreuse.
Yes, that's why. Again, not bleeding from the eyes. Yellow chartreuse.
As a herbalist would prescribe.
Yes, they probably would. They would say it's full of monthly flavours.
Yeah, exactly, full of monthly goodness.
You can't taste it. Really. You get a hint of it at the end.
Well, exactly. I think it
which put me on edge.
Adds a herbally twang.
A tiny twang, but that is a lot of lime in there, and I appreciate that. Right, anything else? Sugar?
There's some agave.
What's wrong with you?
My pronunciation is all over the place this evening.
I mean, I don't think you're even trying. What happens.
Oh, I like that greatly.
That is very nice. That is nice. You get the hint of the... Wait, what's that? What's that herbally twiggliness? Oh, no, it's gone. Masked by the sugary goodness.
Yes, that's sugary. It's quite sweet.
Yeah, it is.
But it's not overly powerfully sweet.
But lots of good lime in there. That is the first sip. You're like, ooh, hello. Yes, and then some basil-y goodness, and I like basil.
That.
And yeah, because basil has a soapy quality.
It can be over the top. Yes.
But that balanced with the bit of the yellow chartreuse, it works. I'm going to eat my basil leaf.
You eat basil leaf.
I may regret this. I'm not sure why I've done this.
Yeah, why have you done that?
I don't know. I'm hungry.
You ate a whole pack of sausages.
Half a pack of sausages.
Yeah.
Mini sausages, can I just add, please, as well? I'm not just in there mainlining raw sausages. I mean, I would, but I won't.
There's some on the shelf there.
No, don't think I didn't eye those up there. I saw they were in your bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I remember later.
That is very tasty.
I like that drink. That's
That
nice.
is very good. A
one.
resounding success.
Raw for Edison.
If you
Whoever
like-
he may be.
Why are you so anti it being Edison? Well, because we don't like Edison, so...
Did he
yeah,
make
yeah.
much medicine?
No, he just made life hell for everyone.
So, yeah.
I mean, he did a lot of good things as well, but also while being a dick. Well, with Edison's medicine
Yes.
firmly in hand,
Yes.
would you like a story, Nick?
I think it's about time.
I think it's about time for a story. So, this week,
Yes.
we have a case that caused quite the sensation
How mom.
through New York. One of the first cases, it is said, of trial by media.
Oh.
The press's involvement in this would have a huge impact on the outcomes and the process of this trial, the pursuit for justice. A horrific and baffling murder on New York's Staten Island, involving a well-to-do family, a lot of gossip, and some secrets. And an apothecary.
And like apothecary.
Yes. I will give credit here to the brilliant book, The Witch of New York, The Trials of Polly Bodine, and The Cursed Birth of Tabloid Justice by Alex Hortis. And Alex Hortis is a constitutional lawyer, and this book really was one of the most enjoyable true crime books that I've read. You get so many where people have found a lesser known case by today's standards. And they delve into the research and they pull so much together. And again, if you get the book, you can see the huge amount of research this person has done. But it's so entertaining to read and really, really well done. And there's a lot of books that you read through when people try and put a bit of drama behind it, and you go, "Oh, please just stick to the facts." And I've heard a few interviews with him when he's discussing the case. I don't know whether it's the fact that he's a lawyer or anything like that, but it's a really good book. I'm not being paid to say this, by the way. I just thought it was really good, really interesting story. Anyway, so it's the 1800s, Nick.
It is.
We're off to Staten Island.
Okay.
At this time, it is a lush and pleasant land.
It sounds delightful.
It is lovely. Lots of greenery and lovely communities there. So not all built up and like it is now. I don't know. We didn't get to Staten Island when we went to America. No, we didn't. Our friends ended up on Staten Island.
They
Didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, we were trying to get
After
to...
taking the wrong ferry.
Yes, because we were all going out. We were going to go to Ellis Island and Liberty Island, and then our friends separated from us, and then ended up on Staten Island because a man told them to get on a boat, and he had a gun. And we think he was a policeman.
We think he was an official.
So they had a nice little trip to Staten Island, and
Apparently
they said
they found some good charity shops.
it was very nice. Yeah, they had a very lovely time. Yes, but back then, lush green land, lots of space, and we're going to look at the Houseman family. It would have originally been called the Husman family, Husman, because they were amongst the first settlers. The Husmans, Dutch originally, and they are a decent family now of oyster traders.
Nice.
Could have had oysters. We've done it before. Damn it all.
Yeah, we have.
We have. The fancy dish now that you know and I love. But back then, very, very popular.
Yeah.
So there's a big trade in oysters.
Yes.
People love an oyster. And the patriarch Abraham Houseman, he also had come into a lot of money because he'd bought land on Staten Island that had some tap rock in it, which was tap rock basically very good for construction.
Oh, okay.
So the Staten Island Granite Company paid him handsomely for some of that land to build a quarry. So basically he got the equivalent of something like $1 million.
Nice.
So he's selling oysters and he has rocks.
Who doesn't love a rock?
Yeah, he's doing very well for himself. So they've done a fine trade. They've got plenty of cash. You've got Daddy Abraham, Mother Mary, and they had 8 children, including Mary, who is the star of our story, and she's also known as Polly. So we're calling her Polly. She's born around 1810. Now, not much is known about her childhood. She had one.
Probably.
She had one.
It seems more than likely.
Yes. Apparently she was a beauty and a bit of a tomboy. She liked to help out on the boats. She sort of didn't mind getting stuck in and like helping her brothers and everything pull in the oysters and helping her father and stuff. A little bit haughty and proud, but she was rich and pretty and headstrong.
Yeah.
She was from a very comfortable family, and she let it be known that she was from a very comfortable family, but she did it exactly as she pleased. Now, aged 15, In around 1825, she meets 24-year-old Andrew Bodine, who is a sailor and a shit. Yes,
Right.
she is courted by Andrew and she falls madly in love and they marry. They will marry. And he's a teenager, but it was the style
Yes,
at the time.
we cannot judge things with modern eyes.
A little bit in the 1800s, but okay, fine. Andrew quickly turns out to be a drunk and an abuser.
That's less good.
He is a horrible man. He squanders away any money they have on drink. He beats Polly. He is not a pleasant man, and the marriage is not a happy one. They have 2 children. Within 3 years of the marriage, Polly ups and leaves. She goes back to her father's house. She goes back to the familial home, leaves Andrew. But the fact that she left her husband and didn't just stick it out and accepting the abuse he dished out, like whispers of a woman who has had 2 children and she's left her husband. What was really the story there? Yeah. So, and she was known to be, as I said, like a strong-willed woman.
Yeah.
That she wasn't going to put up with this. She wasn't going to be meek and mild. But it's enough for people to sort of say, like, well, you know, maybe she had her part to play in this horrible marriage. Andrew disappears from the story pretty much here. He would be referenced later on because he was charged with bigamy in his later years for marrying another woman because they never got divorced.
Yeah.
They're separated. Divorce, very tricky, very tricky.
Didn't really happen.
Not going to happen. The woman he ended up with was beaten to death. We don't know if it was him. There would be various accusations that his ex-wife had done it, which is not true. I'm going to say that now. But yeah, he was later prosecuted, not for her murder, but for bigamy.
Right.
And sent to jail. This is the kind of man we're dealing with.
Yeah,
here. I think we
not
can we can
ideal.
feel free to draw conclusions about him. He would end up dying many years later in prison in Sing Sing, but he and Polly remained married for many, many years. So he pissed off. Polly is back with her family, and we're talking nearly 20 years or so that they remain married. She is there in the family home for 16 years or so. She's close to her family, and it was remarked that she was close to them and she was kind. While she was haughty and headstrong, she was kind to her family.
Good.
Her brother George lived across the street and his young wife Emmeline. And she spent a lot of time with them. She would keep Emmeline company because George worked in the family oyster business, so he would be off and doing long hours and be out on the boat for days and days and days on end. He was a captain of a boat. And Emmeline didn't like to be alone. So she would go and keep her company. She would stay with her. Emmeline would eventually have her daughter, Anna Eliza, who is Polly's niece. I think Polly helped deliver her.
Oh, wow.
So she delivered her in 1842. So it's a strong family bond and they are very close. As I said, while Polly has been seen as a kind and supportive family member, also, she has left her husband, a bit of a source of gossip, and she apparently had a bit of a, fuck it attitude to life, where she is from a wealthy family, she's well supported, and she's going to enjoy life to the full, and that's going to piss people off no end. She's a rich woman, she enjoys a drink of gin.
Nice.
People notice it. She's a good conversationalist and she will provoke people and have a chat, and she'll be pretty haughty about where she's from, but she's lively and she's unconventional. You know, she's not fitting into the mould of
what is expected of a lady at the time.
Exactly, a meek and mild lady or a crazy old crone who lives on the street in dirt. And it was also said that she'd taken a lover or 2. You know, that once she'd left her horrible husband, her loins had not dried up.
Is that what happens?
It does, yeah.
Right.
Well, apparently, according to them, it should do.
Right.
It should do. When you've left your husband...
If you're ever more than 20 metres away from your husband, it's just...
absolutely barren.
starts dry.
It's
things...
the Sahara down there. And no desire whatsoever.
No, just none.
No desire
just switches
whatsoever.
off.
Yeah, absolutely. She had taken a lover or 2. And around the 1840s, and when we are coming to the crux of, the main point of our story, she had taken a lover named George Waite. Now, George Waite worked in Manhattan, on the island of Manhattan. Her teenage son had actually gone to be an apprentice with him. By this time, her son is a teenager, and he's an apprentice with him because George Waite is an apothecary.
No!
Hey, he has the shop. There we are.
He has the lovely shop with all the little drawers.
So
many tiny drawers.
He needs an apprentice going, what the fuck are all these for?
Label the drawers. Someone please label the drawers.
Here's a Sharpie. What's that? Not sure. This is where we keep the chartreuse. This is where we keep the tiny sausages. This is where we keep the toast. Don't tell Nick. That's it. I mean, he's in the story. So trust me. It's not just one passing reference. George is described dashing, charming, well-tailored and plump. Like a plump man in a story. I enjoy a plump man. I've been known to. But it's nice. I like it when there's a story going, he's plump. Yes. Good for him. Also heavily in debt. But she is like, her son has gone to work with him, and obviously she's brought her son along and just gone, hello. Ooh, look like we are well fed. So
You look like you like a sausage.
I know where to get some. Yeah, he is in debt in his business. He's apparently borrowed money from her father. She's happy to put in a good word for him. He does have debts. So, yeah, it's not ideal, but she's very smitten, and they've had a relationship for about 3 years.
Okay.
In secret, obviously.
Yeah.
She has gone to visit her son. I'm not sure whether it was... I think it is implied that the son got the position, she met George and went, wow, rather than her shoving her son through the door, going, you work here now.
Yeah, you work here. It's a great excuse for me to visit.
Exactly. You work here. What do I do? Just fucking do apothecary shit.
Yes.
We're going upstairs now for some time. But yeah, she's able to carry on with him, and her son is there. And like they're all, it seems like quite a nice familial setup. Her son is not disapproving of this. He's a teenager and he's fine. He's working away. Little bit of a problem in 1843.
Oh.
Polly is pregnant.
Yeah, I thought that might be coming.
Yes, you can't do all that riding without...
It does happen.
It's 3 years in.
Good going.
People will have thoughts about that. By December of 1843, she is 8 months pregnant. Her family does not know.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's good hiding.
Big dresses
Big
of the
frocks,
time.
big frocks, true.
Big sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Big sweatshirt. Just wear that. Wear your boyfriend's sweatshirt. No one will know. Yeah, there we are. So yeah, this is where we come to in December 1843. Polly has her lover. She is pregnant. She has a good relationship with her family. It is, and I'm kicking myself for not saving this for Christmas, but it is Christmas Day night. I read that partway through and went, oh God damn it.
Oh God, it's so good. Oh crap.
Christmas Day, 1843. Night has fallen in Granite Village in Staten Island. That's what it's called.
That's what it's
because
now
of all the
called.
granite.
Oh, there's a lot of granite going
It was
on.
like, there's a lot of granite. When the father bought it, we're like, I feel like there's money here. But night has fallen. Everyone has gone to sleep with their bit of granite.
Yes, on their granite beds, with their granite pillows.
With their granite wives.
With their granite wires, with their granite stockings on their granite chimneys. For all the granite to come down the chimney.
Sandra's had a hell of a time getting down there going, Jesus. But yes, all the granite's gone to sleep. Put the granite to bed tonight. There we are. Okay, but Nick, smoke is seen pouring out of the home.
But granite doesn't burn.
No, but this house did. This was the one house that
The
was
one
built of
house
granite.
that wasn't built of granite.
Yes, it's the home of George and Emmeline
Oh, gold.
Houseman. Their cottage, there was smoke from the chimney. People apparently were in the tavern nearby and they heard the cries of fire and everyone runs out and there is smoke pouring out of this building. Small house is ablaze. The captain is away at sea. Everyone knows that. The neighbours are asking where's Emily and her daughter, her child who was 18 months. They're like, she's staying with family. They're staying with family. Okay, who set the house on fire?
Yeah.
Let's get in there. Bucket brigade forms. They all work together.
Nice.
They douse the flames as best they can. And the neighbours and the people in the community go into the building to check and dampen down the embers, and they go, okay, there's a oh God, like the family dog is not survived. Is that a dog or is it a sheep? Oh no, it's Emmeline.
Oh, that's good.
Brace yourself, this is not pleasant. Emmeline is lying. Apparently her body has been maybe pushed under a bed a bit.
Right.
It seems to be. It is so badly burnt, her body is bent like a hoop. It is said. She's not alone.
Oh.
Her baby daughter is with her,
Oh.
and the baby is so badly burned. I will say this because it's in the reports, it was in the book. It was reported widely the baby's head was burned off.
Just, yeah.
Yeah,
Dash.
it's savage. Now, that is important to a point because I didn't just throw that in there for colour. Everyone's like, oh my God, horrific accident. There's been this terrible fire in this cottage. They pour through the charred remains. Poor Emmeline, poor Anna Eliza. They didn't die from the fire.
Oh.
Emmeline and her child had been bludgeoned.
Oh, Christ.
They had been beaten. The post-mortem examination and the remains of Emmeline would show that her arms showed massive defence wounds, like cut down to the bone. So something has struck her and also struck her on the head. So she had a hand up.
Sinead.
Yes.
Not a happy story.
I know. This is the hard bit. I'm sorry. There was much made also that a black silk handkerchief was tied around her wrist. It's not implied that her hands were bound. Everyone surmises different things, like why it was there. Was she dragged there? Was it to hold her back or something like that? That's it. It's just a detail. It's tied around her wrist. One wrist.
Okay.
They do find bits of the child's skull.
Yeah.
It has coagulated blood in it. They go, okay, the child has suffered the same fate. This is not a burning, this is murder. Someone has beaten these people to death and then set the building on fire to cover their tracks. Ew. Horrible story. Now, this is obviously big news.
I would imagine so.
The press rush to run the story of this awful murder. Now, early reports are that the house had been attacked by robbers. It's important to note as well at this point, this is about 10 years into the start of the penny press. So you're at the height of tabloid journalism here. So you've got the Sun and the New York Herald competing with each other. So from the start, they've got wife and child. Yeah. Oh my God, they perish in a fire. Wait a minute, they've been bludgeoned. It's a murder.
How exciting. What other shit can we make out to make it more exciting?
100%. So they are immediately saying attacked by robbers. Had to be a terrible break-in. And this is the time of gangs of New York roving around the place. The house had been plundered. There were items stolen. They would later be able to work out that there was silver and jewellery and spoons.
Oh my God, not the spoons.
Not the spoons that had been taken, and the 24-year-old Emmeline and her child had been murdered. The theory would persist for a time about this robbery. A short time before the murder, Captain George Houseman, the patriarch, he had returned to Staten Island after a big trip, and he'd been carrying a bag full of silver just through the streets of Staten Island. Well, he would, because he gets off the boat.
Well, he's got to get home somehow.
He's got to get somehow. And apparently, as they would have it, it's like, he's la 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 la, and behind him are 20 thieves walking with like clubs and stuff, watching where he goes. That he had been followed. People had clocked his house, waited until he had gone back to sea and broken in to steal, and his whoever was there, his woman and child, collateral damage.
Yeah.
So that is a thing, and it persists to this day. You know, was it a gang of crooks who had broken in? The police could have continued down the street, except that at Emmeline's funeral, her father, John Van Pelt, another good family, makes an accusation.
Oh.
It's a very bleak and rainy day. He announces to the family, he turns around to those assembled, and he says the killer was not a gang. He is absolutely sure that it was Polly Bodine.
Oh, wow.
Emmeline's sister-in-law. He believes it was her. She was the last person to see Emmeline alive. He feels pretty certain about that because he's seen a fortune teller.
Okay.
And the fortune teller, it's not really reported what they said, but he said, I've seen a fortune teller, and it's Polly Bodine. This little statement from the father, who is obviously grief-stricken, who is in turmoil and wants an explanation for
Needs an answer, absolutely.
for his daughter's death. But he says this, and it just arouses suspicion. It arouses gossip. Everyone starts talking about it. The police are going, well, okay, fine.
Let's look into it.
Maybe we'll start looking into this. And Polly's family overhear this because it's at the funeral, and her brothers hear about it, and they go back to the house, and apparently they return to the family home. Polly's insiders is after the funeral, and I think one of her brothers goes up to her and says, people are talking about you. They think you're responsible. Polly gets up and literally legs it out of the house.
Oh, that's not good for a guilt look.
No, she gets up, puts on her bonnet and veil, and just fucks off into the night. Now, she will walk out the door across the length of Staten Island, get on a ferry, go to Manhattan, and walk all over Manhattan. She's pregnant at this point, and it's in the middle of winter. She just seems to walk from place to place, staying in churches, like just stopping and sleeping or whatever, just walks off into the night. The police are now searching for her because they've gone like, we need to follow up this thing. Going, well, she's gone.
She just
she's
ran off.
Gone. She's gone. And they're like, oh, okay, this might be something. And it's all it takes for the whispers to get back to the tabloid press, because obviously they've got all sorts of contacts. She comes back to Staten Island. A friend sees her. She volunteers herself to the police. She turns herself in. After 2 days, she turns herself in. They speak to George Waite as well. He admits that he's her lover. So immediately, scandal. They find a note on his person as well that was sent to him from Polly after the fire and the murders, asking him to confirm that she had been with him.
Oh.
at that time, which is odd.
Yeah, not ideal. Yeah, asking for an alibi.
Yeah, he's accused of being accessory to the murders, but he does have an alibi for the time of it in the form of Polly's son, Albert. His apprentice, he said he's in Manhattan the whole time. He's not gone to Staten Island. Polly's come to see us. We'll get to the timeline in a bit. Now, as I said, I mentioned the press and the huge role that they have to play in this. You've got the Sun and the New York Herald fighting each other to get every single column inch they can out of this story, because it's big news. An innocent mother and her child murdered in their home, goods stolen. Now a woman from a good family, pregnant by a man who wasn't her husband. She would like to drink.
How much scandal can you get in one page?
Yeah, string of affairs behind her. Apparently, she slept with all sorts of people. They go into overdrive. They start all manner of horrible rumours about Emmeline's death. They report anything they hear as fact. They talk about what happened to Emmeline in the cottage. They make all sorts of suggestions about what had happened to her before she died that are not confirmed, that are not true. So it's really horrible.
But sound great.
Great.
Look great in print. But...
they imply she was assaulted, all these sorts of things. No way of knowing it. They also report that her body was dug up to check for signs of prussic acid. Was she poisoned before she was bludgeoned, before she was burned? Maybe a rumour. Maybe. Whereas Polly, as soon as they get wind of Polly being implicated, she is portrayed variously as the world's greatest witch. She is dubbed the Witch of New York. The ugliest crone who could ever have lived, is also a sex maniac and a seductress.
Right.
Yes. Horrible, horrible woman and just sex mad. They detail all of her belongings that are found in George Waite's apothecary business, because they go and search it and they find she's left overnight things there, and they scandalously print all of this. This woman has been staying the night at a man's house who's not her husband. They start surmising, and they will do this over dedicated pamphlets, that she must have had at least 6 abortions.
Oh, Christ.
Because to be sleeping with him, and he's an apothecary, well, he must have supplied her drugs. He must have supplied her ways of getting rid of the children that they clearly had been making
must have
together.
had together,
Yeah. They said her husband, and this is a quote from one of the newspapers, her husband Andrew was originally a man of considerable property and character, but after his marriage to this woman, from her conduct as is alleged, became intemperate and debased. So it's her fault he became a wife being drunk. Other papers go into worse detail. The sketches of Polly in the newspaper that will emerge later, and there are very famous ones as well. It is like she is a witch in a Brothers Grimm fairy tale. She is in her 30s and she looks like something that has crawled out of a cave, plotting and full of venom. Anyone of thinking that she might be innocent, any chances of that are slim.
No.
The police have also used the press, though. In the meantime, the police have gone, well, okay, all of this is happening. We need to try and trace the stolen goods. That's a lead we could have. There's things that have been stolen. Has anyone pawned them? Has anyone tried to sell them? Yeah. They put out a call in the press to ask, these are the items that are missing. Several of the items are marked with the initials EH. They make the appeal, they get answers from several pawnbrokers who come forward and they say, yeah, we've received these items. Our job is to vet people, so we have a very clear memory of who came in. They say a woman in a hood and a veil, a green veil, came into our pawnbrokers. They handed over the goods and they said their name was Ellen Henderson, EH. And the police go, okay, great. So we've got that. There's one surefire way that we can make sure that that woman matches the identity of the woman we have in jail. Let's bring the pawnbrokers down to the jail and we'll throw a hood and a veil on the woman we have in the jail, and then we'll bring the pawnbrokers in front of her and go, does that look like the woman who came into your shop? And they go, well, yeah. Maybe.
Right.
Huge power of suggestion there.
Yes, possibly, yeah.
Alex Hortis says in his interviews, it's insane even by that standards, but they go, oh, so you've seen someone, rather than a police lineup, they dress her up in a hood and a veil.
Exactly what the person has seen.
And you go, huh? And they go, well, she looks like a woman in a hood and a veil. Yeah. They go, well, yeah, it probably is her. Why not? Whether they are all like going, yes, it was definitely her. And they're going, I don't know. And again, I will say this is really not pleasant. What happens, this incident is so horrifying to Polly. This is so distressing. She will go into early labour and she will deliver a stillborn. Yeah. The stress of her being in jail. I mean, all of this mounts up. She has a stillborn. Horrible. And I will say the Sun newspaper reported that the baby had lived, but she'd smothered it.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. That was printed.
Yeah.
the Herald also took the story as well, and they were like, oh well, we heard that she's given birth, but actually she killed it, probably, rather than the stress and the horror of what she's going through or what she was subjected to. But all of this is mounted up. We come to the trial. As you can imagine, the courtrooms are packed with people every day wanting to see the Witch of New York. This is the place to be seen. People are reading the story every day, snatching up papers like it's Mrs. Whistledown's latest bit of press. And the courthouse, it does not have enough seats. People are fighting for seats in there. But now we should look at the timeline of events as the court would have heard it.
Okay.
As it was presented in the court, because it's the first time the facts are laid out.
I feel I should take notes.
And it may change the picture that you have in your head.
Okay.
But I think first it's time for a drink.
Oh, God, okay.
Nick, we have our drinks.
We have a timeline.
We have a timeline. So now let's go through the timeline of what has happened. We know the aftermath. We know how people have been treated, and I stand by my feelings about that. But let's go back to the last known movements of Polly and Emmeline, the victim. 23rd of December. So they're discovered Christmas night, 25th.
Yep.
23rd of December, Polly had stayed with Emmeline. On that night, a neighbour named Jane Taylor, says she hears screams coming from the house. She doesn't report it. She doesn't tell anyone about it until the trial, until Polly is arrested, until after the fact. In the court case, she's asked if she believes in ghosts.
Right,
Because apparently she was someone who really did believe in ghosts.
Nice.
And she said, well, I do, but I haven't seen one in 2 or 3 months.
Yes, it's been a while.
It's been a while. So could it have been ghosts? I'm not sure what they were trying to get out of it. Probably to discredit her as going, well, you hear screams all the time because you see ghosts. But anyway, we know that she went and stayed with Emmeline on the 23rd of December. The next day, 24th, is a Sunday. There is no sign of Emmeline at her window. She would normally sit at her window and wave at churchgoers as they went by, because she wouldn't go to church because her baby was too young, but she would sit at the window and wave to people to kind of do that little, I'm definitely up.
Yes, I'm up and I'm ready to go.
But people would wave back. That morning, the house is shuttered. It's dark. She's not there. On Christmas Eve morning, now Polly stays at her father's house that night. Christmas Eve, she is at home. Her sister confirms she is there. Her family members confirm they are there. She is there. She is seen. They all confirm it. They will testify in court that she was at home on Christmas Eve night, Christmas Day morning. A boy apparently comes to Emmeline's house. There's a caller at the house, a boy, and Polly answers the door.
Okay.
Polly's at the house and she says, go away. She's not here. Like, go away. And he leaves. Is it because she's inside and there's dead bodies in the house? Are they dead? At this point on Christmas Day, Polly will go into town to see George Waite. She goes in. There is a period of time where she has disappeared. She is not seen. And this is the time where probably the pawnbrokers receive the stolen goods. It matches for when she is not, no one knows where she is. It's well before the bodies are found as well. The bodies have not been found yet, and yet the items have been sold. And then Christmas Day night, she's supposed to sit down and have dinner with her son and George, beef stew.
Lovely.
And then she gets up and goes, I'm going to go and see my friend Elizabeth Strange. She's like, is that a real person?
Yes.
Her son is like, but mother, please, the beef stew. And she's like, I can't with you, and I can't with the stew. This is awful. There's no goose. But she leaves. And she says she's going to see this friend. Elizabeth Strange is a real person. She is tracked down. She says, I haven't seen Polly in 6 months. She did not come to my house on Christmas Day. So she has lied about where she was on that day at the time the fire took place. She's next seen on Boxing Day morning, very early on, getting on a ferry from Staten Island to Manhattan. She was waiting for the earliest ferry, and she looked haggard and tired, and immediately got on and asked for gin.
Oh God.
Which is great. I think there was a member of staff who said, I thought it was wonderful that a woman would get on and ask for gin. I think wonderful in kind of, I wonder why.
Yes.
And they might have been interpreted like, good for her getting smashed at 6 a.m. No, they're like, I wonder what the fuck is going on here. When the news broke of the fire and the body's discovery, that is when she sends this note to George saying, give me an alibi. And apparently the note says, hide the things or hide the writings. It's smudged.
Okay.
Is she trying to cover up her affair with him? Is she saying she's got stuff in the house? Suspicious.
Yes, definitely.
What are we thinking there?
I mean, it is. I'm not sure. I still don't quite know why she would want to do such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But she's certainly not making it easy not to be a suspect.
Yeah.
She's not behaving very innocently.
It's strange.
Yeah.
It is suspicious. It is circumstantial.
Yeah.
It is circumstantial. There's nothing to pin the murders on her, pin her at the scene of the crime.
But she's not helping herself either.
Well, her movements on that day are her movements. The day after, when she's suspected, her wandering around Manhattan, we don't know. Why has she done that? She is pregnant and her family don't know about it, apparently. So that's one thing. But yeah, why are you wandering around? The prosecution are just, well, here's all her movements on the day. And also, she's a horrible slut. She's a horrible, horrible woman. Ugh. Polly has a very good defense team because her father has money. Yeah. So they get a very good defense team.
Nice, good.
They twist the story about, they take Polly and they go, okay, prosecution are going to call her a horrible, horrible harlot. We're going to say fallen woman, abused by her husband,
yes,
forced to flee.
Very much.
Made a mistake. Fell in love again, has resided with another man. She can't get a divorce from her husband, blah, blah, blah. All circumstantial evidence. You can't pin her to the scene. Everything that's said in this trial doesn't really matter because it's completely scuppered by one jury member. And this person is I either love him for being an absolute twat or for being such a sort of like pencil pusher kind of, no, actually, technically. Rustling up jurors for any case was not easy because they had to be men and they had to be well-to-do because poor people, boo, liars.
Make stupid choices.
Yes, stupid people. Yeah, no, you had to have money behind you. To be a juror as well, you ain't getting paid. You ain't getting food or water until you've got a verdict. They would you go in that room and it's like, you're not getting anything until you've reached a verdict. It's like, that's not great. And you had to sleep in that room as well.
Oh,
no
God.
Nice hotel.
Yeah.
No, stay in there until you get us a bloody verdict. Everyone's pretty stressed. But in this case, you have a man named James Decker. Very wealthy man from Staten Island who was on there. An eccentric, to say the least.
Okay.
He is a problem from the start.
Oh.
He is just making problems. He refused to take the oath. When they're going, no, but you need to take the oath.
Do it.
You need to take the oath. And it's like, it doesn't have to be, and they're trying to say it's not religion, it's not just take an oath. And he's like, no, not gonna. And they go, well, we're gonna send you to jail. And apparently his response is like, send me to jail. I paid for that jail.
I built it with my own money.
He's that rich. He is obstinate through the case, and when they get into the juror's room, he refuses to reach a verdict. He will not give a verdict. He says that he demands that he gets evidence in the third degree. In some cases it says fourth degree, third degree. And they go, what? He says, well, I need at least 3 eyewitnesses to the act. And they're like, that's not a thing.
Yes, that doesn't happen.
No, in the fourth degree, there's one report that said, like, fourth degree, I need 4 eyewitnesses. It's like, no. What do you mean
it's
you
not
need
how the law works.
You're not getting that. You're not getting that. But he refuses to give a verdict. He's such a pain in the ass, it results in a mistrial because it's a hung jury.
No.
He's like, no. So they're like, okay, screw that one. It's trial number 2. We're going to do this now. George Waite, between trial number 1 and trial number 2, he's released on bail and fucks off.
Nice.
He is released on bail going, we're so suspicious about you as being accessory to murder. And he goes, oh, I get it.
Yes.
Runs away to New York and then apparently abroad and just hides from the press.
Gone.
And everyone goes, oh no, screw him. It's the woman. The woman's the problem.
The women, they're always the evil ones.
They're always evil ones. Trial number 2, 1845. Now in Manhattan. They think, Manhattan, that'll be much easier. Oh, great, the centre of the press. And full of people who go, you know what's been happening on Staten Island? Not a person in any fucking radius there does not know about this case, does not know about it, has not read the newspaper reports. On this trial, even more people are turning up.
Yeah.
There are the great and good literally having fistfights over a seat.
Nice.
They are bringing their snacks and their drinks and their children to watch it.
It's a fun day out.
Yeah, it's described as a night out at the opera. Yeah. In their finest gowns as well, to be turned out and go, hello, because the press are there and everyone wants a piece of it. So not really a balanced trial. At the same time, P.T. Barnum is in town and he goes,
dear.
I will build a wax figure of Polly as a murderer who has not been convicted.
But she probably did it.
She probably did it.
It's fine.
She'd probably just do a big waxwork of her as a witch and a murderer. Ooh, murderous. And she's like, I'm not even fucking stood trial. Now, new trial, same tactics again. Prosecution, evil, sexy woman, sexy, ugly woman. The defense, like, no, she's a fallen woman and there's circumstantial evidence. And then they used it a little bit in the first trial and they use it in the second trial. Again, as detailed in the book. They go with a line where you go, ooh. You're like, Polly, good Christian woman. Pawnbrokers, Jews.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to have said that, but yes, they go on and on and on about how pawnbrokers can't be trusted because they are Jewish. They are untrustworthy.
Right.
To the point where the judge intervenes and he says, I know nothing in the character or the integrity of the entire class of people, but why you should condemn them. The judge is like, please stop with this line of questioning. There's a lot of Jewish people right here. And this is awful. But this time in the case, she is found guilty.
Oh.
She is found guilty with a recommendation for mercy, which is rare.
Okay.
They're like,
yes.
We know that this is the death penalty. Please don't kill her.
But don't kill her.
Please don't. Appeal immediately. And the defense mounts this appeal and they say this is unfair because of the amount of prejudice. There is no way that she's gotten a fair trial because everyone has read this story. You cannot try her in Staten Island. You can't try her in Manhattan. No well-to-do man would not have read this story. So they agree, okay, trial number 3, we're going to transfer it to Newburgh in Orange County.
Somewhere relatively neutral.
Far enough away in New York. The tides have started to turn now because the New York press are like, she's a witch. Polly is wretched at this point.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Walt Whitman writes about this case and he says, I don't think she's going to last to the end of this trial. She's emaciated. She's been in jail for the best part of 2 years. She is catatonic, apparently. And people outside of Manhattan are like, good God, what is going on? And anything to sort of like go, yeah, you big city folk. And there's a lot of anti-gallows sentiment around now. And they're like, we don't want to send a woman to the gallows.
Yeah.
We don't want this to happen. She's acquitted. And huge cheering and shouting in the court. Apparently her first words to her lawyer is that she turns around and says, can we sue P.T. Barnum now? Did not like the waxwork figure. Polly would move back to Staten Island. She would move back. That's her family home. And she lived a very quiet life. She was always the subject of gossip and rumour.
Sure. Yeah.
She outlived many of her detractors. She would die in 1892. And her son, her daughter were the only people at her funeral. And that is the story of a horrific murder of Polly Bodine. But the question is, did she do it?
Did she do it?
Did she do it? And why would she do it?
Why would, yeah, I mean, that's the I'm trying to get my head around. Why?
Yeah.
What on earth does she have to gain?
It's an interesting debate, and it's what makes the story so interesting. And again, credit to the book. He has theories and he has thoughts on it, and you're sort of compelled to kind of go, no, that makes sense. But the timeline around her disappearances that no one can account for, she never testified.
Yeah.
She never testified in court. She never spoke. She never gave her defense. It would maybe put a whole new twist on it. We don't, it never got to that. Maybe the lawyers didn't want to put her on the stand going, oh, you are definitely going to implicate yourself. You don't know. Or just all sorts of theories abound, as in, when was she moving around? Was she's 8 months pregnant? Is she trying to find a home for her baby? Is she trying to deal with that situation? Or had something happened? She was very close to Emmeline.
Yeah.
All the reports that they were good friends.
Yeah.
Had she found out that she was pregnant? Had a fight occurred? Had something happened in a split second?
I mean, also, if you're that good friends, you would. If someone's 8 months pregnant, that's not an easy thing to hide from someone you're supposedly very close with.
Maybe she was like, it's Christmas, let's just acknowledge what's up.
Yeah.
Well, it's nearly Christmas by the time she died. The items were stolen from the house.
Well, yes.
Those items totaled about $1,000 worth. Yeah. So not a huge amount.
But she was relatively wealthy by herself. She had the money. So did she need the money?
George was in debt. Did something happen? Someone said, is it a split second fight? Did something go very wrong? It's one thing to have a fight with your sister, the baby.
Yes, absolutely. That is a very different thing.
18 months could talk. Yeah. Whoever did this act needed the child not to talk. So it's a horrible sequence of events where a gang did break in and they stole what they could and they pawned it, and they could have had women in their gangs.
absolutely.
Who could have been sent in and go, yeah, make up a name, EH, easy, and sell the stuff. Or was it Polly? Was it Polly? There are gaps. And she might have done this, but the way she was portrayed in the press, the way she was done, it is horrifying. If we had hard evidence that she'd done it, we'd probably go, yeah, she's a horrible
absolutely,
person.
yeah. And if there was an obvious reason or whatever, then yeah. But I just can't see it.
It's weird, isn't it? It's a curious one, as in who did it, and why couldn't she account for the missing time in that? It's a hell of a lot to have a fight with your sister-in-law, to then kill an
18-month-old child.
Gotcha. To not talk. There is a fight, a spat that turns into something else there. That is a big decision. Yeah. Or was it just wrong place at the wrong time for Polly? Was she trying to hide something just at the time that unfortunately her sister was killed? But was she really at the house on the Christmas day when the boy came by and said she was there? Because that would obviously, she would have known the bodies were there.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that's true. It's an interesting one, isn't it?
I just don't know.
You just don't know. Well, what do you think, people? What do you think of the story of Polly Bodine? Oh, I should mention as well, apparently a man in a Spanish cloak was seen.
Okay.
Around the house. No one ever found him, and and the man who said it was, I was riding my own horseback and I saw a man in a Spanish cloak. Yeah. So maybe it was him.
Maybe.
There we go. What do you think, people? What do you think of the story of Polly, the Witch of New York? Do you think she was guilty? Do you think she was framed? Do you think it was a gang? Do you think it was just a random attack and she was in the wrong place at the wrong time with not enough alibis? Or do you think she had reason to kill her sister? There are all sorts of layers to this story. What do you think of the tabloid press at the time? Because it is really the gutter press.
Yeah.
If you're on the side of the tabloids, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I do recommend the book on this one because there's all sorts of great detail that you can dive into. It will make you angry, but it's very interesting. Tell us what you think. Jump on the comments of this episode. Share your thoughts, your feelings, your theories. But most importantly, when you do, you must mix up Edison's medicine.
It's delightful.
It was delicious.
Very tasty indeed.
Very fresh. And the presence of chartreuse did not make my face fall off.
It was very tasty. So yeah, the recipe will be out very shortly. So yeah, mix one if you can. It's a damn tasty treat.
Oh, deliciousness. Keep sending us suggestions of more stories we can be covering in the future. These can be murders, they can be curious crimes, they can be interesting people from history where weird stuff has happened. We're happy to branch out on that area occasionally if it's good enough.
As long as it's weird.
As long as it's weird and there's meaty stuff that we can dive into. It can't just be, look, if you've got a resource and it's one page, we ain't doing that. But if you've got, hey, have you thought about talking about this thing? And we could just wax lyrical for ages. Yeah, why not? We will do it. We'd love to consider it. Do consider joining us on patreon.com/The Poisonous Cabinet if you want more from us each week. We are on the various social media channels, Instagram, TikTok predominantly. We're also on Blue Sky. We just share updates on there. And you can also follow us on YouTube. That's where we also publish all of our episodes and some of our shorts. So please subscribe to us on there. I'll shout out. Please also follow me on YouTube. If you've listened this far and you haven't already, I do a lot of book talk and spooky stuff on there. Sinead Hannah Crack. You will find it on all of my bios. And leave us a 5-star review on Apple iTunes if you haven't already. Thanks for listening, guys. We have been the people inside the Poisonous Cabinet. We will see you next week. And remember, your loved ones are trying to kill you.
Bye.